जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर। सर आपका ऑडियो बंद है।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम। थैंक यू।
सर आपने लाइव कर दिया क्या अभी?
लाइव कर दिया।
अच्छा।
अरे इनको बहुत पहले से प्रेशर था कि वो यूट्यूब दीजिए, फला दीजिए। उनको असल में रेक्टर लेवल के लोग हैं ना, दे
ओके
वांटेड टू शेयर अराउंड द वर्ल्ड।
ओके सर, ओके देन लेट मी
पीपल हैं।
हाइड द वीडियो। नो प्रॉब्लम्स।
और सब ठीक ठाक?
जी सर, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह सब खैरियत है सर।
मैंने वो देख लिया।
जी सर।
जरा सा अभी ये प्रोग्राम के बाद तय कर लेंगे कब किया जाए, है ना?
जी जी सर, ठीक।
देन वी फाइनलाइज।
वाइस चांसलर सर
मेरे
अवेलेबल?
ख्याल से मेरे ख्याल से 20 तारीख ठीक है, वेंसडे है।
ठीक है सर, क्योंकि वो बस।
ये बताओ थोड़ा सा,
जी
मतलब
सर।
चूंकि ये पहला होगा इंटरेक्शन,
जी सर।
तो इनको थोड़ा जानते हो, बोलने वालने में ठीक है?
जी सर, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ठीक ठाक है।
अच्छा, बस ठीक है। हाँ, थोड़ा बहुत हो। मतलब ऐसा है ना, कभी कभी ऐसा होता है। बहुत पहले की बात है, एक हमने वो जो एक कंसल्टेंसी अर्नस्ट एंड यंग,
जी सर।
उससे एक साहब को बुलाया था।
जी सर।
तो अब हर आदमी बोलने में उतना अच्छा नहीं होता,
एग्जैक्टली सर।
तो वो उतना अच्छा नहीं रहा। तो डिपार्टमेंट में बड़ा मजाक उड़ाया था लोगों ने। आई स्टिल
अच्छा।
रिमेम्बर।
अच्छा।
ना, मतलब मेरी मुसीबत कर दी थी। तब खैर हम यंग भी थे।
जी सर।
और देयर इज ऑलवेज अ पॉसिबिलिटी। कोई
जी
इंडस्ट्री का हर आदमी अच्छा बोल थोड़ी ना पाएगा। और
एग्जैक्टली सर, एग्जैक्टली ये तो है सर।
तो, लेकिन ये है कि व्हाट वी नीड इज दैट कनेक्टिविटी एंड देयर विजडम।
यस सर, एग्जैक्टली। अच्छा सर, वो जो एक लाइव इंटरेक्शन होता है उसमें जरा हर कोई घबराता है। नॉट
हाँ
एवरीवन
हाँ हाँ,
दैट थिंग। अच्छा, वर्चुअली सिस्टम
बिल्कुल।
पर बैठ के काफी आसान होता है उसके कंपैरिजन में।
वो सही बात है, क्लासरूम के मुकाबले ज्यादा आसान है। दैट्स
ज्यादा
वेरी ट्रू।
आसान है सर। सर हम लोगों की तो दिन भर ट्रेनिंग होती है, तो हम लोग तो कहीं भी बोलने खड़े होकर। एग्जैक्टली।
लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि फिर भी अब जितना कॉन्फिडेंस आ गया, वो अदरवाइज शायद नहीं था।
जी सर। सर जस्ट अ सेकंड में अभी आया सर।
हाँ हाँ, प्लीज टेक योर टाइम, दैट्स नो इशू।
मैं देख लिया। जी सर.
Waiting. Let us hope that people would join in time.
Yes sir.
Attendees have started pouring in.
So 3 attendees are there.
Yeah.
There's a message from Rezwanda Tiade.
I think Henry Tanjung is one of the panelists.
Yes sir.
Henry Tanjung, if you are listening and if you are a panelist, please join through your direct connectivity that I have forwarded.
So she's Rezwanda T. She's his friend. He or she, I don't know. So it's a
Okay.
friend of daughter Henry G. Sir.
Okay, okay.
She is asking to allowing her to join the webinar.
Okay. Yes, Henry, you want to say something?
So he is joined.
Hello, Dr. Imran?
Yes, Henry, you want to say something? Yes, please.
Yes. I want to say that I have joined.
Good morning. Are you a panelist?
Yes, yes, yes.
Sir, you have to join through the direct link that we have given. Or Sam, can we upgrade him?
Actually, I use a laptop, so you send me by the handphone, so I cannot use my handphone. So
Okay.
I use laptop.
I'll just try to send you. Hello.
Hello.
Saim?
Yes, sir.
Can you upgrade him to panelist?
Sir, actually, you are the host.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Okay. Henry is now a panelist.
Yes, sir. Sir, inka video I think is still off. Let me check.
Okay.
Welcome, Henry.
Yes.
Walaikum assalam. Walaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. Nice to see you.
Yes, nice to see you also, Professor Imran.
Okay, I could.
Where is your position now?
Pardon?
Where is your position? Where are you now?
I'm a professor in the Department of Commerce, Aligarh Muslim University.
Oh,
and
Aligarh,
I'm also the Dean of the faculty.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
And I'm also assistant, visiting professor at Indian Institute of Management, IM, which is said to be the premier institutions known across the world, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Have you attached to the Awqaf system in India?
Yeah.
I want to ask you something after this class, okay?
Oh, sure. We'll keep in touch now.
Yeah.
Once we are there, and that is the best advantage of this interaction. That in addition to COVID in the sector, in the education sector, I believe is an opportunity. It has immensely helped people.
Yeah, because almost 200 million Muslim people, almost 200 million Musliman in India.
Yeah.
With I think the Awqaf property very huge, right?
Yes, of course. We are around. It's a huge number.
Yeah.
I would just wait to let other panel members join.
Yeah.
So we start.
Professor Imran.
Yes, sir.
What is actually the purpose of this panel, of this seminar or webinar?
basically we are trying to interact with different nationalities in order to understand that what is the response strategy of each of the nation, so that
Okay,
to
right,
help
right.
out others as well. And
Yeah, yeah.
secondly, we are trying to discuss the possibilities that, I mean, what are the other things that people are taking up?
Okay, okay.
What are the strategies to combat this crisis?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it is a crisis. Hmm? Mashallah, somebody is reciting Quran, I believe.
My son.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How old is?
12 years old.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
I also have.
he has
I also
memorized
have a.
two para.
Okay. I also have a son around 14 years.
Yeah, because
And
in
he is mashallah Hafiz al Quran.
oh, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
30 para.
Whole Quran.
Mashallah,
Alhamdulillah.
mashallah.
He is a full-fledged Hafiz al Quran, and Alhamdulillah, in this COVID hour, I'm making namaz after him only. He is my imam also, Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah,
So,
mashallah.
Allah's blessing. So, what is your specialization, Henry?
Awqaf system.
Okay, that's great.
I am one of the member of Indonesian Wakaf Board, appointed by President of Indonesia.
Okay, that's great. That's great. I would request you to please send me your brief bio. I have not received it. What I have at the moment is just that you are from Ibn Khaldun University. That's it.
Yeah. Actually, I have sent my short bio to Professor Zaid.
Now do send it on the group. Why to be indirect? Now once we are directly connected.
Yeah.
Have you ever visited India, sir?
India, not yet.
Okay, so let us look forward that COVID is over and we will see you in person. Inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
So that's great. Actually, at Aligarh Muslim University, we thought we should try to help out the policy makers.
Yeah.
Through these webinars, because we will share these interactions with.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Madam Muslim, welcome to the webinar. We have been waiting for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for a bit late. So what time is it now in India?
It 11. Is about to be 11. It is 11:30 now. We'll just be waiting by Professor Bedjo.
All
And
right.
the moment he joins, we'll start.
Okay, inshallah.
Inshallah. I'm really thankful that all of you have taken out time to interact.
It's all right. My pleasure.
Inshallah, we'll try to make full use of your wisdom. And
Oh.
How many students now in your institute, Professor
Pardon?
Imran? How many students enrollment now?
we have a reasonably large number. It is around 30,000. It
Oh.
is 30,000 on campus because we are a residential university.
Oh.
We don't have colleges and other affiliated units like most of the universities in India. We are one peculiar university in India which is absolutely campus oriented.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big venture that way, I'll say.
Yeah.
30,000 young boys feeling it as a house, and not only feeling it is their house indeed, and they are with us. Yes, and it's a and it's a good thing for us as well. It actually facilitated a lot of cultural exchange amongst and facilitated a lot of peer group learning. We do have students from Indonesia, Malaysia, all these countries as well.
Okay.
A very reasonable number. Yeah. Quite a good number we have. So and they all reside here in the hostels, and therefore a lot of understanding and mixing of the students, which is a lot of cultural learning in addition to their regular courses.
Yeah. I have a senior in Islamic economist from Aligarh. His name Muhammad Najatullah Siddiqui.
Yes, Najatullah, we know.
He's very famous, well known in Islamic economist in the world.
Yeah.
First time I studied Islamic economist, I wrote his book. The title of his book is Dialogue in Islamic Economics. Have you read the book?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can we connect to Mr. Bedju somehow? Can anybody call?
Yeah. Let me try to call him, right?
Please. That will be a great favor.
So host Mr. Bejo,
Anand,
Pak Henry.
चलो कोई बात नहीं, let us see. बस, in 1 minute I'll start.
I have called him twice, but no response. Let me try again.
चलो मैं देखता हूँ, कोई नहीं. So I think Mr. Bedjo is hooked up somewhere. Maybe he would join a little late.
Okay.
Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at the outset, on behalf of the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Tariq Mansoor of Aligarh Muslim University, I welcome both the panelists into this discussion. From the very core of my heart, I'm thankful that despite your busy schedule, you could make out time. Before we proceed further, let me have the honor of introducing Professor Murniati Mukhlisin, who happens to be basically she has done her master's in accounting from Indonesia and then her PhD in accounting from University of Glasgow. She is presently a rector of Tazkiyah Islamic University of Indonesia. She is also a founder of Sakina Finance. Then she had been a member of the editorial board to many of the international journals. She is widely published. I welcome you, madam. Thank you very much for sparing time to participate in this panel. Then we have Dr. Henry Tanjung, who basically comes from Ibn Khaldun University, Bogor, Indonesia, and he is also a member of the Waqf board of the Indonesia. Sir, I welcome you to this panel discussion. Here, basically, why we are making this effort, in fact, is that COVID-19 is basically a threat to the humanity across the world. Almost every country is being affected, either directly or indirectly. Even if some country claims that we have not been influenced by COVID, then I think the cascading effect in terms of economic and social changes, it is likely to have a difference. So what I'm seriously looking forward is that we need to share the possible strategies that each of the nation has adopted so that we can learn from each other. That was the only motive. It is purely an academic exercise where we are trying to learn from these possible interventions of each of the nation, each of the respondent nation, and then we will share these. We are recording this, and we will share each of these interventions that every nation has taken to facilitate possible clues that can be taken by the policymakers of any of the countries. So that is the basic idea, that is the basic motive. The motive is primarily to help out the humanity as a whole. So anything, any good practices in any country can be shared. Any pitfalls, any mistakes that we have committed, others may refrain from that. That is the prime idea of this discussion. Now, in case of India, as I was going through some of the basic data, you have around 14,000 patients and roughly 1,000 have died, which is again, given a small country like Indonesia, it's quite a big number and it's a big loss. So I would like to see that how do you see COVID affecting your society directly as well as indirectly in economic and social sense, number one. Number two, how your nation has responded, or individuals have responded, the society has responded. The idea is not to discuss the political things, but overall economic and social addresses that we have made. And how do we see that? I'm sure that inshallah we shall overcome. Allah is with us. So sooner or later we will come up with the COVID crisis, and then what next? How are we going to revive our economic and the social systems? That's the basic prime motive of this whole of the discussion. So, may I request the panelists to please initiate the discussion. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ladies first.
Oh, ladies first. All right. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi sadri wa yassir li amri wa luqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Our respected Professor Imran Salim and Dr. Muhammad Saim, and of course Dr. Henry Tanjung. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
And of course, my salam to everyone who actually are in the audience today, or from our Zoom platform or YouTube. So I'm very happy to be invited by the community Aligarh Muslim University, and I think this is my first experience making correspondence for the university, although I have heard about the good name of the university many, many years ago. And I actually have met also several of the alumni of the university when I was in the UK, when I was studying in Malaysia, studying in the UK. And mashallah, they've been doing good jobs for the Ummah. And I hope it will be continuously. I could see from the alumni performance of the university. And I hope also your dua and your prayers for the alumni that we studying, the students that studying at our university in Taskia, and also in Ibn Khaldun University, where Dr. Henry Tanjung is lecturing. And of course, the impact on Islamic economics and finance, in particular, where my area is, would like to raise at this point, and also how the government responses. Well, it's not going to be a complete picture. That's why Dr. Henry Tanjung and later on Dr. Bejo will be joining us. And I would like to share with you a very simple. Very simple presentations, if you allow me, Prof.
Sure, please.
Yeah. So this is actually my short presentation that I would like to show to everyone about the Islamic finance development in Indonesia. And we have been quite happy with the progress until 2019, where it shows the Islamic banking. I'm sorry, this is in Indonesian rupiah. I think you can simply convert it to divided by 15 or 16,000 in US dollars. So Islamic banking shows it's an increasing trend. In fact, we are expecting more development in 2020. Islamic insurance as well. It shows, although it's quite slow in Indonesia, but it notes its growth from year to year. And Islamic market capitalization as well. And the sukuk, government sukuk has been very popular nowadays, and it's always oversubscribed every year. And we also have the non-tradable sovereign sukuk. And it's just, until the end of the 2019, we were very, very confident that it would show a good positive trend in 2020, until the COVID-19 came to Indonesia and to all over the world. We have now changed the strategies and policies on how to counter the impact. And of course, the impact, we actually tried to expect early this year. Okay, fine, we still would actually experience a positive economic growth until 5%. But recently, the Minister of Finance announced there is going to be a negative economic growth. And in fact, the Indonesians will experience losses 2.5 billion what we call in terms of Islamic banking, Islamic insurance, Islamic capital markets performance. Because in Islamic banking, the institutions are now encountering many clients, many customers asking for postponement, rescheduling, and they're expecting some increase in non-performing financing. So where in Indonesia, we call it non-performing financing for non-performing losses. And then we also, I'm sorry for some other wordings that have not been very well translated, but anyway, it's going to reduce activities and expected low performance in 2020. Islamic insurance as well. In fact, by closing Saudi Arabia And for Umrah and Hajj, the Islamic insurance companies have actually lost opportunities for or nearly 500,000 travelers. And of course, the premium payment, it affects that. And but then they also come up with strategies. New strategies recently are actually to offer COVID-19 claim for life and hospital stay up to 14 days, and the allowance for a daily allowance for 14 days. And for Islamic capital markets, it's the share price shown on the board is actually still higher than its real book price. So we can imagine that actually it's really attacks the Islamic capital market, including Islamic capital market. And as we can see that the government policies actually have been highlighting some points, like immediately in the mid of March, the presidents announced the government policies, government budget cut, focus on health and economy. Mostly the government have cut 50% of their budgets and shift them to the COVID-19 health and economic recovery, and ensuring staple food, cash aid, staple food card. They issue also unemployment card, tax relaxation, credit relaxation, and subsidizing housing for the poor. And also there are some other institutions as well come out with their policies, 7 policies from Center of Reform on Economics, health recovery, reduced electricity and petrol prices, tax relaxations, cash aid, ensuring staple food, and SMEs credit relaxations, and some other new policies. And Taskia, where the campus I'm actually leading, actually came out with these policies. We actually sent to the government 7 policies to recover Islamic economic and finance in the country. So we actually proposed the mechanism of cash aid in a way that it should actually be relevant to the SMEs around the societies where the poor people reside. And then the second one is actually we propose national solidarity fund or solidarity program that to increase zakat, infak, sedekah, and wakaf fund, but in a way that it should be started from the president's announcing as going to be a national program. We do have COVID-19 government account, but it's not been really popular. So we actually suggest for this solidarity program, National Solidarity Fund program, and also some other relaxations on zakat, infak, sedekah, and promotion and campaign. And number 3, we also we suggest for harmonizations of zakat and tax. We propose to replace tax payment with the zakat payment. So with some arguments on and the countries benchmark to other countries that have actually done that. And number 4, we also expect some capital assistance for excellent business during a crisis. So to boost actually small and medium enterprises. For your information, we have nearly 60 million SMEs in Indonesia that contributes 40% of our GDP. So it is quite huge. And then we actually expect some support from the government and from the society to re-strengthen our SMEs. And number 5, we also suggest for Karuhasan and CSR out of zakat, infak, sedekah, and we also have suggest also for escalating Islamic economics and financial literacy. So as you can experience well in Aligarh, perhaps the students have distant learning at the moment. And if we talk about Islamic economics and finance, surely their members in the house or their family members also overheard about the discussion on Islamic economics and finance. And this is very helpful where we can actually promote the financial literacy, Islamic financial literacy in everywhere. And number 7, we also would like suggest that to support the government to support Islamic financial technology, financial companies technology. So Islamic fintech has been actually mushrooming, but only 12 Islamic fintech companies have been approved by the government, and while the rest of the 168 conventional fintech companies have been approved. So there is still a room for Islamic fintech to actually grow in Indonesia. So this is actually, I'm finishing in short. So anticipations from Islamic financial institutions, the Islamic financial institutions such as Islamic banks, Islamic insurance, they're trying to actually formulate strategies and policies such as akad conversion. Of course, there are problems with notarial and notarial cost and tax. That is why we actually suggest for tax relaxation whenever the customers actually opt to shift or to convert their akad. So for instance, from murabaha to mudarabah or musyarakah. And areas to focus actually for the Islamic financial institutions on food processing, trading, and tourism. These are the clients' business that are mostly affected by the COVID-19. And of course, the Islamic financial institutions now try to reserve high losses this year. And also we expect the Indonesia, the deposit insurance corporations to support more than 2 billion rupiah Indonesia or 135,000 rupiah US dollars. So we expect the small banks, small Islamic banks such as Islamic cooperatives will be also guaranteed by the Indonesia Deposit Insurance Corporations. And the role of Zakat Infak Sedekah also can be played by the Islamic financial institutions such as Islamic banks, because they also have social obligations, social objectives for beside their commercial objectives. And also the Islamic financial institution now is trying to focus on cash wakaf, because they are actually given license to accept cash wakaf, and we transferred to Nazir to actually formulate their wakaf strategy. And we also have heard about Sukuk Wakaf Indonesia that is going to be launched. And Dr. Henry Tanjung, I'm sure that he can add to this point. And this is my last point, where we, as Islamic economics and finance scholars, I would like to urge everyone to actually go back to our classical literatures that are very, very rich, where, for instance, this is just Ibn Khaldun that I pointed out on how he talked about fiscal policy in his time, and it is still very relevant. Ibn Khaldun's theory of taxation, for instance, has been considered as one of his most important contribution to economic thought in his literature called Muqaddimah. As we all know, Muqaddimah means introductions, but the books are as high as the ceiling. So it's called Muqaddimah, but has lots of messages that we can actually learn from. And he released the theory of taxation with the government expenditure and argued for lower tax so that the incentive to work is not killed and taxes are paid happily. So this is something that we are talk about, and it's really relevant for Taskia at that point. Last month actually suggested for seven policies, including the tax relaxation. And the effect of taxation on incentives and productivity is also clearly visualized by Ibn Khaldun, that he seems to have grasped and the concept of optimum taxation. And this is actually something that we need to go back again to learn and then to actually analyze, because these economic insights, Ibn Khaldun has been considered as the forerunner of modern recommendation that high tax rates shrink the tax base because they reduce the economic activity. And I hope the government could actually reformulate their tax policies. And the event of COVID-19 has actually made everyone awake. And I hope there will be a new world, new government policies that are in favor of everyone in the society. So again, from this one actually my short presentation, and I'm sure there are some witnesses here and there, and I hope for input, questions from the audience, and I welcome any additional note on my presentation. Thank you again, Prof. Imran Salim, for the time, and I just profit to other speakers to go with their presentation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Mukhlisin. Your talk was really amazing, and same is with your national response. I'm really thoroughly impressed because I had been interacting with people from different countries, and I don't think that the national response as a government unit, such a tremendous response is there. I mean, it is not in my knowledge, I believe. Second thing is your sharing with the fact that your insurance companies have started sharing the burden is a very significant development.
Yes, yes.
And moreover, I really agree with your Ibn Khaldun's theory, and more especially the last but one point, that the productive channelization of the government revenues would be, or expenditure, I'll say, government expenditure would be very significant, and it will be I think one of the most vital instruments to deal with the upcoming economic scenario across the world, all the nations, irrespective of the nationality. I think everywhere what is required is the input from the side of the government into the productive channels, especially.
Yeah.
In addition to the food supply, the basic necessity, of course, but then second thing most vital is to build in that economic confidence into the citizens of the nation, so that ultimately they come back to their psychological level where they start spending. Because what is likely to lead to recession is that lack of confidence. And this, Ibn Khaldun has very rightly connected this, that it is through intervention in productive channels, where people would come back, would join the job, will have confidence, then they'll start spending, and the aggregate demand in the economy will start taking an uptrend, so that we can have, ideally we should have a V-shaped recovery, but less likely, I believe personally. And I strongly feel that, but at least with these investments and interventions, I'm sure that at least we will have a U-shaped recovery. Now I would request Dr. Henry to please come up with his observations. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. I would like to share my screen, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. The title of the screen is Economic Solution to Pandemic COVID-19 as Indonesian Case. Sorry. Okay. Right. My name is Henry Tanjung from Ibn Khaldun University. We use the name after Ibn Khaldun as the name of the university, because he is very famous in the expert in social science, in history, in the economic, etc. Right. As Dr. Imran said, I am the Vice Director of Postgraduate School from Ibn Khaldun University, and also the Chairman of International Council of Islamic Finance Educators Indonesia Chapter, and also the Commissioner of Waqf Board of Indonesia. Right. Our Minister of Finance said that there are two scenarios how to combat this COVID-19 in the economic policy. The first scenario is moderate, where the economy is still growing at 4%. And the second scenario, worst, where the economy grows only 2.5%, can even reach 0%. So if the economy grows in the level of 0%, this is very dangerous for the economy, for Indonesian economy especially. Professor Imran and all the audiences, Indonesia is a big country, is the biggest Muslim country, experienced twice in the negative growth. First time in 1963, around minus 3 point something, And the second and the largest one, we call it not a recession but depression, is 1998 with the Asian financial crisis. Our growth is minus 13, minus 1.3. Okay, this is very huge problem for Indonesian economy at that time, and we took 5 years to recovery from the economic problem. And whole the rest, the growth of Indonesian economy around 7%, and the last 5 years about 5%. This is less than the economy of India. The economy of India, I think about 7% last year, and also in 2018. But now I think it is less than 5%, especially in 2020. The growth of India may be around 2% like the growth of Indonesia, maybe, yeah, because we don't know the exact number because it's still going on. What are the consequences if the economy grows 1%? So from the macroeconomics point of view, we can say that in macroeconomic theory, 1% economic growth is tantamount to the creation of new jobs of about 300,000 people to 500,000 people in Indonesia. This is an Indonesia case. So if we are in the process of uh, growing at 4% as the first scenario, so the new job only 1,200,000 people. In the worst scenario, 0%, it means there is no job for the new employment coming to the market. Job creation is expected to arise from investment. The investment will come from the government, state-owned companies, the private sector, domestic investment, and foreign investment. Unfortunately, these sources trouble. Uh, uh, Government side also trouble. State-owned companies, most of them decline in the income, and some of them got deficit. Private sector, yes, most of them got lost. Domestic investment, it's very difficult to hope from that investment. Foreign investment, yeah, this is also because this is not epidemic. This is pandemic. Means the epidemic global, the global economic now occurring in one time. Okay. Now, a fear of recession. Yeah, Indonesia is fear of a recession. Recession occurs if there is negative growth of 2 consecutive quarters. We start, I think we start lockdown in Indonesia around March. I think same thing, same like in India around March. And we hope that this lockdown can be ended by the June. Yeah. But let's see what happened because I saw from the graph statistically from the victims and then from the number of the death, the number of the occurred confirmed of the victims in Indonesia, patient of the corona of the COVID, 14,265 today until today, from the beginning until today, confirmed 14,265 people or person. And in one day, from yesterday up today, increase victims 233, and who died until now 991, almost 1,000. And if we saw from the graph, it's like volatility, the huge volatility, but there is trend of increasing from March, April, and May. There is a trend of increasing. That means that to end up with the June of this pandemic, yeah, to me it's difficult. Yeah. Okay. The peak of economic severity is called the depression. Yeah, I've explained before. Recovery from depression will require a long time. Yeah, like Indonesian experience in the 1998. Okay, now what government did? Okay, actually our government will disburse funds of 405.1 trillion rupiah. Okay, in rupee, I think just divided by 200, around 2.03 2.03 trillion rupees India, because the currency of India, Indian rupee, one rupee India equal to 200 rupee Indonesia. Same, the name is the same, rupee and rupiah, but the the value or the nominal is different. For what? This money, this much money for what? For four sector. The first one for health sector, budget 75 trillion. This is including the aid, financial aid for the medical doctor who died of the victim of the COVID. Okay, the aid from the government around 300 million rupiah for one victim of died people in the medical person. And the second one, social protection, around 110. This is how you help people to buy staple food and to give money, such a cash money, uh, to continue their life, etc. And the third tax incentive that this has been discussed by Dr. Murniati, and core stimulus around 70.1 trillion, and the fourth one, funding for the National Economic Recovery Program, 150 trillion. So the last is the biggest in the term of money. Okay, because a recovery takes time. Recovery is not in a short time. Okay, now what is economic solution from the macroeconomics? Okay, government has done something that he should done or that he has done. The government must do it for the recovery from the economic uh, effect of the pandemic COVID-19. But for the society or community, there is also effort how to combat this problem. So I said for the rich people, they should sacrifice their wealth, their money, their property to pay zakat, infak, sedekah, and waqf. And for the poor people, uh, need hardiness. They should be patient to face the difficulties, to face the hardiness of the life, etc. So these two, rich people and poor people, must do the two things, sacrificing and be patient in terms of how to face this pandemic. Okay, audiences, I would like to discuss about the income pyramid of Indonesia. Okay, because this is Indonesia case. According to data from Frost and Sullivan, although this is estimation, but the number is we can trust them. Affluent people in Indonesia around 4.4%, around 1.04 million people. and upper middle class 2.7%, around 7.01 million people. Middle class 30%, 30.2%, around 86.2 million people, and lower middle class 47.6%, around 123.6 million people. Okay, so from lower middle class, upper middle class, then affluence, the total is 215 million people. And the poor, only 13.5%, around 35.06 million people. Although in this condition, in the pandemic, the lower middle class uh, will be, or they can enter to the poor class people. Yeah, because so many sectors in the business, job, they lost their job. So they will enter to the poor class income people. So from this figure, we believe that if the society, if the community make, in fact, sodaqah and work in massive, I think the problem of the pandemic in the economic side will be covered. Like in the Surat Ar-Rum, verses 39, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما آتيتم من ربا ليربو في أموال الناس فلا يربو عند الله وما آتيتم من زكاة ثم وجه الله فأولئك هم المضعفون. So this is one of the economic solution in the macroeconomic, how people, how society, how community pay their zakat in the broad way, like sadaqat, infaq, and waqf, and how to help people and to make economic growth. Okay, this is the interpretation of the verse. So the reward of those who give alms. Uh, I I took these quotes from the tafsir of Ibn Kathir. A person does not give alms with the piece of date taken out of his lawful business, except Allah, the most gracious, will take it with his right hand, then keep it to the alms giver, as one of you keeps a foal or camel until the date become bigger than the hill of Uhud. So the compensation of the sadaqat is very, very huge, is very, very big, is very, very much. Okay. Now, in the term of macroeconomics, because our government has disbursed money in the very huge money, 405.1 trillion rupiah. It's so huge money, so much money. But society also can make the contribution, because government alone cannot solve this problem. So if the government and society work together, okay, work together to combat this pandemic, I think the economic will uh, will improve. Like this, income, zakat taken out from the income, and income used for consumption, increase aggregate demand, increase income, and also increase zakat. This is a loop or a circle. Okay, zakat, for example, for investment with the condition no riba, and then this investment will increase aggregate demand, or and then also increase income and also increase zakat. This is also the other loops. The other side, zakat for investment, if you use no riba, can increase aggregate supply, supply can increase income, output, and wealth. And this is also the other loops. So from the upper side loop and the lower side loop, we believe that the zakat system that we should pay according to our iman, our Islam, can help the economic to grow. For detail, please read this book, Macroeconomics and Evolutionary Approach. This is book by mine. So I wrote this book with Professor Hermanto Siregar from Agriculture University, and published in the Agriculture University, IPB University. Uh, uh, And also this is my new book, Ekonomi dan Keuangan Syariah, isu-isu kontemporer. So the new issues, current issues in Islamic economic and finance. This is just published several days ago, so not exceed than 1 month. So this is a very new book. Conclusion: in the end, zakat, donation, and alms and endowments will increase consumption for the short term and investment for the long term. And these two components are components in GDP. So in terms of in the short term, ziswaf, zakat, infak, wakaf, sadaqah will increase consumption and increase GDP. Let's help those who are disrupted by this pandemic with our ziswaf. Let's pay zakat, infak, alms, and wakaf. Thank you, Professor Imran.
Sir, unmute your mic, sir.
Well, I believe generation gap. So I'm just a new learner to this IT-oriented things. Anyway,
Okay.
so let me appreciate so well gelled two of the presentations. Sister Mukhlisin has made a very good presentation about the national response, the government response to the COVID, and Henry sir, you have very rightly said that the individual contribution is equally important, because ultimately through different interventions we can contribute to the aggregate demand of the economy, which is actually crux of initiating the economic interventions across the board.
Right.
Because unless consumption is there, supply doesn't make any sense, and that only contributes to the recession in the long run if supply continues and demand is not there.
Yes,
So it
yes,
is
yes.
it is mainly the intervention which is basically contributing to increase in the demand is extremely important. Now these are two aspects of life. Check out. These are what is my concern is that perhaps your economy, your nation seems to be very robust from within, but we are having a question from the attendees that Indonesia being a very tourist popular destination, how do you see this shortage in near future? Because I mean the likelihood is that traffic is likely to fall in near future at least, or even in the midterm it will be at a very lower pace. So how do we see that, for instance, when you are going to invite me? So the point is how are you going to make the visit of tourists as comfortable as before?
Oh, this is difficult, tough actually.
I mean, just as a common man, not necessarily we need to be specialists in all the aspects.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, I would request Dr. Henry to minimize his screen share.
Okay.
This.
Okay, right. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I would like to respond first on the tourism. Yes, it is actually attacking very, very badly, because up to now not such technology that can display online tourism. So I cannot bring you to the online tour to Bali. I cannot bring you to online tour to Jakarta. Are you going to buy me? Are you going to buy Prof. Imran if I sell to you? I have a tour package, online tour to Jakarta.
maybe already so many packages are there.
Yeah.
And I had been visiting Indonesia off and on.
Yeah, but online.
Yeah, online.
Yeah, that is why compared to other industry, the tourism has been attacked very, very badly. So in certain provinces such as Bali, Nusa Tenggara Barat, and Jakarta itself, Sumatera Barat, and Bangka Belitung, Aceh. So they actually have bigger portions in the tourism's income from tourism, and they actually have been miserably affected. And of course, to gain tourism's, I mean, number of tourism to come, actually we need to work very hard to ensure that the recovery, the number of the health recovery is taking place, because at the moment the certain places of Indonesia have shown a decreasing trend in terms of the COVID-19 cases. But again, the government still asks us to provide precautions. So we are not allowed to actually still have the gathering more than 5 people at the moment in certain places. So that is why everyone is now in a waiting strategy when actually the tourism industry can actually operate in a normal way again. So again, number one, we have to make sure that we have actually safety strategies or a package for the tourists in the near future. And then secondly, we need to expedite the recovery, which is actually vaccines that has been waited by many people. And the third one is actually to provide cleanliness in every corner of the tourism industry, such as hotels, restaurant, etc. And in fact, the now the impact of the COVID-19 has been actually obviously seen, that we can say the people are getting more concerned about health, about cleanliness, and this is the very advantage for a tourism industry in the future, because everyone has been used to with that, has been in practice. In order to avoid COVID-19 in spread, then we have to actually ensure our cleanliness, which we do not find in certain places in Indonesia, that they actually take care of the cleanliness very well for the tourists to come. So I think this is something that we expect to happen in the future, Prof. Imran.
Imran, please unmute your, yeah.
Yes, you rightly pointed out that this is one of the hardest hit sector, and I think it is going to take perhaps the longest in terms of possible recovery. But what I strongly feel, just responding on this direction, that what is very important is that the industry should keep connected with the good customers. That's extremely important. It's not necessary. Maybe as you said, on the lighter side, that would you buy an online Jakarta visit? I may not, but knowing Jakarta would actually promote me and would encourage me in the long run to do make a visit. Really, it's a reality. Because online, knowing things, sitting at home, knowing things, meeting people. See, this is an opportunity for the tourism industry to build up the relationship with at least the corporate and good customers, the big customers. That's one thing which I strongly feel. Second thing is that we have another sector which is upcoming very well, and that is education. Because education is one sector which is being able to use the online interactions very well. And that interface and that possibility, had there been no COVID-19, perhaps I would have not thought of arranging a webinar and interacting with Sister Mukhlisin or Henry or all others from across the world. And this has actually facilitated a possibility of building up a relationship across the board, of facilitating best of the interactions across the world. We will have access to the best of the faculties, and I seriously look forward that Aligarh Muslim University has a sustained relationship, whether it is Al Maktoum University or Tazkiyah University. And I would talk to my Vice Chancellor that we have so good institutions across the world. Why don't we build up our resources together?
Right,
So
right.
that is my
You are very
observation.
right. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Professor Imran, I want to follow up Dr. Murniati actually.
Yes, sir.
To my mind, industry like traveling, like hospitality in Indonesia, it is not affected long term because Indonesia, Indonesia is a piece of heaven sent to the world. You see, a piece of Jannah.
Very true.
It's very beautiful, right? It's very beautiful. So,
Thank
have
you.
you visited Indonesia, Professor Imran?
No, not Indonesia.
Oh my God!
I had been to many countries, but as a matter of chance only that I have not
Oh
visited
my God!
Indonesia.
So
But I
you
promise I'll come. I'll come at my own to meet my now one sister in Indonesia and you, brother. Inshallah, I would make it a point to come.
so it means
Inshallah.
it means that you have not entered the paradise.
Well, you see, we have we also have a God's land called Kerala. We also have Kashmir, and I
Visit
had been to
Kashmir.
Malaysia. I had
I
been
have
to
visited
South Korea,
Kashmir.
Japan.
Professor, I
Yeah,
have
of
visited
course.
Kashmir. Very beautiful. Very beautiful
Kashmir is almost a
island.
second home to me. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
Kashmir
very fond of
is
visiting the
the
places.
Swiss of Europe, right? Like Swiss
Yeah,
in Europe, so Kashmir in the like Swiss in the subcontinent, right?
yeah, it is. It is.
It's very beautiful. Yeah.
Uh,
So about the
So we look
industry,
forward that your tourism industry will also pick up fast. Well,
yeah,
Dr. Henry, we have one more question.
yeah.
What about the Islamic banks? Do they have
Mm.
any initiative to ease their terms or to make their customer relax, as they are the engine of Islamic trade finance in Indonesia?
Of course, of course, of course. If you see the Quran chapter 2 in Al Baqarah, verse 279. Bismillah
Sure.
minasyaitonir rajim wa in kana dzu usratin fa naziratun ila maisarah. When they have difficulties, please wait until they have a capability to pay. So our Islamic banks apply this ayat, this verse of Quran, and then make a relaxation of their credit. Yeah, it must be in all Islamic banks like that.
Okay, that's great. I really, before we close, I really appreciate once again the response of Indonesian people at an individual level with the help of zakat, sadaqah, and all those Islamic interventions. And possibly, I'm really happy that your corporate sector as well as the government is really trying to build up the nation and contribute the
Yeah,
nation and
yeah,
make the recovery as fast and as feasible as possible.
yes.
Uh, Thank you once again for joining with us on this panel discussion.
You're welcome. You're
One,
welcome.
I would
one
really,
minute, one minute,
I'm
one
deeply
minute,
indebted.
Professor Imran. 1 minute, 1 minute.
Sure, sure.
I would like to say that Indonesia is the country first rank in the charity, right?
Yeah.
First rank.
And
People give
inshallah,
charity in every sector.
Yeah.
inshallah, I promise that I will try to, as the things ease out, inshallah, I'm going to have both of you in my country.
Inshallah,
Inshallah.
You make a
inshallah.
Inshallah.
visit, inshallah.
Yeah, I want to
Prof.
visit
Imran,
Taj Mahal.
would like to
I
have
want
a
to visit
closing
Taj Mahal.
statement. Prof. Imran, I would just like to have a closing statement that
Yes, ma'am.
the COVID-19 has a reason why Allah Subhanahu wa Taala sent it to us, and I think in terms of the Muslim behavior, Muslim social connection, and Muslims belief in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is getting much better, and we can see that the bonding between one another we can see, and that is in terms of individual level. The Muslims are getting more concerned about their family finance, concerned about how whether they already paid zakat, infaq, sedekah, etc. And secondly, in terms of the industry, Islamic economics and finance industry, now it's time to actually realize that the
Islamic way is the right way.
the partnership scheme is actually the most suitable what we call contract or akad.
Very, very true. Very true.
And finance, and that is actually we should learn that Islamic economics and finance is something that we need to adopt
It's the way out.
throughout the countries, where it can stand with how actually the bonding between the investors and the person who run the business in that mudarabah musyarakah akad can be seen visibly and obviously. And I think if the Islamic financial institutions really practice their Islamic contracts, they can survive throughout the COVID-19. Thank you.
If the panelists allow me, there are some students, I think, raising hands. Can I allow them to talk?
Yes,
All right.
sure.
Can I spare a few minutes?
Yes, yes.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yanefri Bakhtiar. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ENF.
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you hear my voice?
Yes,
Yes, please.
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, the first I want to appreciate Andrew Tanjung and Professor Murniati, of course. It is a very excellent explanation today about the economic during the COVID-19. Only one question that I want to share to the two presenters, I think, about the make the economic become running again. How do you think that? I agree about the statement of Professor Muniati that we can push the businessmen to grow again. But I think that we know that the many of people now in the very low condition. I mean that to reach the food only, it is very difficult for them to find the food. So when we try to make the and support again business become rise again, but who is the consumer? I mean that the consumer is very hard to buy. So how many years do you think that the economic will become normal again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Yanefris Bakhtiar. I would like to start from my side that I would like to suggest closed loop economy. What is closed loop economy? Is actually the economy where everyone in the country try to support each other, use their own local products, and support their SMEs, increase consumptions, increase employment, increase income, saving, and then the growth. So that's actually I wrote an article on the newspaper that I suggested for closed loop economy. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to follow up from Murniati. In terms of macroeconomics, there is a two strategy, one in export promotion and the other one is import substitution. But in this condition, we should apply the import substitution. What, what does it mean that we should use our product, we should boost our product.
Yes.
So the real sector of the economy is like a wheel in the car. For example, we have a car and there is a wheel. This is a real sector. Okay, how to make it how to make the car moving? So we should we should fix the wheel. Okay, so how to fix the wheel? We need capital. Okay, banking now has a problem, so we cannot rely on banking sector itself. So from where the money comes from? The money comes from the society, like Dr. Murniati told us, closed loop system economy. Thank you.
Yeah. But if you ask me when,
Can I just? I'm sorry. Yes, please.
no, if when Jennifer just now asked when it is going to rebound. Many analysts said it's going to rebound next year into 2021. Of course, we have to put confidence, but again, all the strategies and policies suggested have to really work in a place that we can have the rebounding next year, inshallah.
Yeah,
Well,
for me,
can I add one thing?
for me, I cannot
Sure.
say when we rebound the economy, because the statistics of this pandemic is still rising in Indonesia. The graph is not flattening. The graph is rising. So we are. It is very difficult
Yeah.
to predict now until we know the statistics. Until we know the data where the graph start to decline, so that we can predict from that figure. Okay.
Well, can I add one thing?
Yes. Yes.
I would also just add to your point that perhaps in the first place, the world doesn't know when the crisis is going to be over. So we just cannot talk about the recovery. That's
Uh,
one thing.
yeah.
Second thing is that we are also not sure that it won't reoccur. That's a very, very serious threat, and the possibility is there.
Yeah.
Because across the world, whenever there had been a pandemic,
Yeah.
there is a history that
Yeah.
pandemic has been repeated over times with a lag of 4 to 6 months.
Right.
Since I presume that scientifically we are comparatively much advanced, and therefore there is a huge potential that we would be able to develop vaccine, but the reoccurrence and the strengthening of the virus itself is a possibility, and therefore a relapse is one condition, and therefore nobody can really with full confidence, and I'm sure that we cannot, we could only be wishful that Allah bless us and the recovery would be fast. But I
Yes.
would endorse Henry's point that consumption is a basic clue. If the economy has to recover, then perhaps we have to understand that consumption is a precondition for every investment and supply.
Right.
Yeah.
And in order to have more consumption, it is the duty of the corporate sector and the government to build in confidence in the people.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And therefore, I strongly urge the national policymakers to build up the confidence first, to generate the employment first, because giving money through banking system, giving charity, giving all these type of things could be impulsive, but it is not going to build up the confidence, and therefore long-term consumption patterns would not emerge.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
total aggregate demand would remain low, and if the demand doesn't pick up, there will be no incentive for the business person to go for it.
Right.
And the last question, if you allow, we have Bedjo with us, and he's raising some point. It's an honor, Bedjo. Welcome, and I would request you to please interact. Should I have you as the panelist right now? I'm just promoting you, Bedjo. Just a second, I've done it. I hope in a second you will join us. It's an honor that at the end, at least, we have our Honorable Bedjo sir with us. Hello.
No response.
How's Kardia? Kardia.
Or perhaps he has a problem with the connection.
I think yes.
Yeah. I think when are we going to end the session, or are we still continuing until Dr. Bejo? That's
We can have welcome. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Bedjo.
Yes, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum, Prof. Imran.
Welcome to this panel.
Dr. Said. Yeah, sorry for late to join this prestigious forum. Sorry.
It is.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, we can hear you. We can hear
Bedjo.
you. Go on, we can hear you.
I think he has problem with the connection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
problem again,
I
connection
think so.
again.
Yeah.
So, I think we have some other panels as well. Can I request Dr. Bedjo to join into some other panels if you and reschedule your appearance?
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you. because your network is perhaps out somewhere.
Professor Imran, there's a question in the QA.
Sorry?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Bejo,
What is that question, sir?
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sorry for late join to this conference. Professor Syahid, Professor Hendry, Professor Murni, and Professor Imran. All of you have talked related to the economic issue. But for me, I would like to focus talking regarding our obligation now related to the education. Yeah, for higher education in Indonesia suffer COVID-19. For example, in Jakarta, almost 30% from the private university almost collapse, yeah, because of they cannot maintain the university properly, they cannot pay the salary. It's
I think we should reschedule his time, Prof. Imran.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, all the panelists, and because we are almost finished and
almost finished.
Not been able to come out.
There's one question raised.
Yes, please.
This is from Raswanda in the QA session. In what level of COVID-19 the Indonesian economic will start to grow?
So I have one question. Number one, in educational effect, or what is the most important strategy, or the most appropriate strategy to maintain the education? Because, for example, in Indonesia,
So, Bejo, I'm sorry, we are not being able to listen to you.
Private university, we cannot.
I think we cannot hear you properly, Prof. Bejo. I think we need to reschedule your time.
Yeah. You are asking some question, Henry.
Yeah, there is a question here from Raswanda to all panelists. In what level, I just read from the QA session, in what level of COVID-19, the Indonesian economy will start to grow? This is the question.
Yes, please.
All panelists. Ladies first.
You first.
I think we have already responded to this, because first we have to know when the COVID is going to go.
Yeah.
But anyway, my answer would be to refer to the Al-Hashr 18. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu ittaqullah wal tanzur nafsum ma qaddama liqad wattaqullah innallaha khabirum bima ta'malun. This is actually the message for us to prepare, to be forward-looking, to prepare for the day of the judgment. So it means if we are actually should make that condition that every Muslim should think about the day of judgment, which is very abstract and very, very long time we do not know. What more the COVID? You know what I mean? So we should actually be able to predict many scenarios, and then we have to be ready. But let's say it's going to be rebound. What I'm trying to say, if we're going to rebound in 2021. What should actually we prepare now? So it's actually it's in our hand actually. on how we actually could do preparations and to welcome the new economic growth, the new economy, and as long as we are doing in Jama'ah, we are doing in togetherness, and I think it will be very possible to be in the near future. I'm very confident if that scenario where we already put in places zakat infak sedekah to be in one place, tax relaxation, and also the support for the small and medium industry. And if that all is actually put in the second place, I think it will be very possible. Unless everyone do just business as usual.
That's right.
That is actually the point.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
So I would like to add up in what level of COVID-19 the Indonesian economy will start to grow. In the level that the normal distributions become flattened after the decline of the curve, and then the curve will reach the flat growth. So at that level, the economic will start to grow. Thank you.
Inshallah. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mukhlisin and Dr. Henry. And I would request Bedjo to that I will get personally in touch with you so that we can reschedule the program, because we are not being able to connect you properly. Are you hearing, sir?
We have trouble in our own
connection,
Wi-Fi because electricity now gone. So
we understand, sir. I would request you to spare some other time. We will reschedule your talk, and would love to hear from you. It had been a very, very pragmatic discussion. Thank you very much, and inshallah, see you again.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You should take picture together first, Prof. Imran. So smile, everyone. I'm taking picture.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, done.
Thank you. Please do share it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.